All right, folks, we're going to try to restore life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the economy. I'm just going to give a hint, and then I probably won't get another word in edgewise. Free enterprise capitalism. Just a thought. So here to talk about it, Steve Moore, FreedomWorks senior economist, Committee to Unleash Prosperity, and author of Govzilla. Steve Forbes, Forbes Media chairman and editor-in-chief and author of Inflation. And Art Laffer, former Reagan economic advisor and Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient. And lately, the author of Taxes Have Consequences, although Joe Biden doesn't really believe that. So the topic before us is very simple. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is in big decline. Ordinary Americans' daily lives are in big decline. In the economic sphere, it's probably the worst. It's been, I don't know, maybe 40 years, maybe not. Steve Forbes, I will begin with you. I want to get out of this. I want to restore life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I want to get Americans back into a prosperity growth mode, which is what we all desire. Where do we begin?
Doing the exact opposite of everything the Joe Biden administration has done.
Okay.
Cutting taxes, cutting regulations, having agencies like the SEC realize you don't crush companies with environmental regulations and the like, which are going to hurt small companies. They can't comply with that nonsense. Federal Reserve, a stable dollar. Do they ever talk about a stable dollar? No, they want to crush demand instead of having a stable dollar. You have a stable dollar, gold tide, flat tax, deregulation, this economy would soar. And even the Democrats would be happy because they would have good gigs on other stations because they'd be out of power.
All right, flat tax reform, lower the rates, broaden the base, get that top rate down as much as possible. Deregulation, energy too, I assume. And we want a steady dollar measured against a commodity price rule,
Let the American
gold.
people be the American people. We're innovative, creative. Let us loose.
Yes.
Do it.
Arthur, have we lost economic freedom? Am I overstating it that the whole idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has been going down the drain? Is everyday American economic life worse or better than it was 18 months ago?
It's much worse. I mean, if you look at it, we're about 822,000 jobs short of where we were in February of 2020. On trend line, we're about 6.2 million short. I mean, that's huge. The inflation numbers here, Larry, and there's no end in sight. If you look at the inflation year over year, the CPI, and then you look at the quarterly numbers annualized, they're all above the trend. So this thing's being pulled up. Inflation's accelerating. We've got a PPI that's higher than the CPI, which means it's going to accelerate. You've got a Fed having huge amounts of the monetary base that has no constraint possibilities whatsoever. You've got all of this. The debt level has gone from about 82% of GDP to 124.5%, Larry. These are all huge problems. I would like to focus in the short term. The biggest thing we can do seriously is to win the elections in November. That's really the first, the primum primorum of all that. And then you've got to start correcting the mistakes. And then I would say we go to my friend Steve Forbes' policies of low-rate, broad-based flat tax, spending restraints, sound money, minimal regulations, and free trade. There are so few free traders in our group that we need to really reinstill people to understand that free trade is essential to economic growth and also peace and prosperity. If you're trading with people, you're not going to go to war with them.
I'll buy into I'm a free trader. And you and I got in trouble 4 years ago when we came out. You might have been in that.
No, it was Steve and you. I got you out of that.
Oh, anyway, we opposed the tariffs on steel and aluminum, and we were right.
Still do.
And we were right. And we
but
still
the title of the article was
I'm
not
just
right.
saying I'm not a pure free trader with China.
I'm with you on
the
that.
reciprocity and the unfairness and the stealing of technology. But apart from that, Steve, how is it in a mere 18 months, really, taking less than 2% inflation with a 6.5% growth rate in the first quarter of 2021. How in the world do we get to a negative GDP 18 months later with an 8 to 10% inflation rate? I mean, that is a remarkable decline in American fortune.
Well, the only thing I'd add to what Steve Forbes and Art Laffer said is cut government spending.
Right.
Government spending is out of control right now. You know, during COVID, for the first time in the history of this country, government actually consumed more than 50% of our GDP, so we were more socialist. Now, that's come down, but not nearly enough. And Biden comes in, what's the first thing he does? He passes $3 trillion of additional spending. That was the match that lit the forest fire of this massive inflation right now. The economy cannot grow. People aren't going to be happy if you've got
Right.
inflation,
Right.
8, 9, 10, 11%.
Yeah, but that's
They're just not happy.
100% right.
I go to the grocery store, go to the gas pump, people are yelling at me. They're
That's
angry about
everything.
it.
I
and
totally
so
agree.
we've got to do this. I'm going to make just one other quick point. This is 4th of July weekend. Patriotism. Love of country.
Right.
You know, we have, for all our faults, we still are by far the greatest country on this earth. And I do believe, as Reagan, the president, the three of you worked for, was right, that it was divine providence, but it put this country here as a beacon of freedom. And what worries me is when we get it wrong, then the rest of the world gets it wrong.
When the
Right?
U.S. gets it
Yeah.
wrong. Right.
When we sneeze, the rest of the world catches, you know, pneumonia. Look at those world leaders in the NATO. I mean, those people, where are the Margaret Thatchers? Where are the Ronald Reagans? Where are the JFKs?
That's what I said the other night, by the
Yeah.
way. Look around that group. I didn't see a Reagan. I didn't see a Thatcher. I didn't exactly see a Milton Friedman.
Certainly not a Winston Churchill.
I didn't see a capitalist there.
Right.
By the way, I mentioned there wasn't a single capitalist around. Steve Forbes, been meaning to ask, they want not just price controls on Russian oil, but Emmanuel Macron, and I'm sure Yellen's in cahoots with this, so they want price controls on all world oil. Isn't that a wonderful idea? Price controls, the Green New Deal gone global, socialism.
call it the Green-
This is whip inflation now. This is Jimmy Carter. How about those G7 people? Terrific stuff, eh?
Yeah, green nightmare. And she's also yelling behind the scenes and openly pushing this 15-20% global minimum tax as a way of raising taxes here, saying, Congress, you have no choice. We agreed overseas to do it. And so, and in terms of price controls, maybe they should go to Wikipedia and look up 1970s inflation.
I know.
What happened then? Price controls, shortages. And by the way, that gets to another price control, favorite hobby horse of mine, the Federal Reserve controlling interest rates as a form of price control. They always mess it up.
Can I just add one thing to your question? Because the other most important thing we haven't mentioned, drill. We have more oil, gas, coal,
And allow the
any other
construction-
country in the world.
Allow
any
the
other country.
construction of refineries.
Yes, and
expansion of refineries.
LNG terminals and pipelines, the whole infrastructure.
By the way, you may get a Supreme Court decision tomorrow.
That's a huge.
That would strike down the EPA
Engagement.
overreach and allow permits for drilling, for pipelining, for refining. I mean, Biden will never do it, but the Supremes, which are doing the Lord's work,
I think we're going to win that one.
Right.
Yep.
And I think John Roberts, by the way, he's an anti-regulatory guy. I think he's going to vote with him on this side. But let me just go back to one basic point. I think Newt Gingrich coined this, but I think it's very useful. The Bidens represent big government socialism in every manifestation. Go back many months, Steve Forbes called it the regulatory state. We don't have to actually take over the means
Modern
of production,
socialism.
but modern socialism through the regulatory state. You have said massive spending brings with it huge regulations and interference with markets. And then on top of all that, the socialists think they love income inequality, so they want to raise taxes on successful earners. So we have to overturn, in order to restore life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we're going to have to overturn big government socialism, are we not?
Yeah, and one of the things we can do is we can sequester or impound funds that have already been authorized. That's one that should be done right away. You know, when you talk about this, by the way, when you mention patriotism, do you realize today is the anniversary of Don Rumsfeld's passing? Just mention that. Just
Was
this is
a
the
great
day.
patriot.
He's a great patriot, great person, and the you know
he bought the Laffer curve.
he did. He
Go
was
ahead.
that napkin in the restaurant.
Yes, the napkin.
I love Mr. Rumsfeld for a million reasons,
too.
but he
Me
also bought into the Laffer curve. It's a pity Jerry
In fact, the
Ford
one in
didn't.
the Smithsonian has it to Don Rumsfeld from me. But we have lots of things we can do. But what I want to make sure we don't do is look to the future so far that we trip on the roots getting there and not do it. The election, then we have to do one by one. We have 2 years of battling with Biden on legislation, with the Supreme Court being our biggest ally.
What's the message, Art? Just stay with this for a moment.
Stop them from doing more damage.
Right.
Stop them
bad
from doing
stuff.
more damage.
Stop the bad stuff.
Sequester and impound the funds and do all this stuff and make sure we get the FDA, the regulations, all that. But then if we win the election in 24 and take the House and the Senate, we've still got a long way to go before we get the actual policies in. In that time, I think we want to make sure we get our things lined up so that we come in and have something like the Reagan Revolution. We look at things like don't defer the tax cuts because that was a killer with Reagan, killer with Kennedy, killer with Harding.
They've got to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. They've particularly got to make the immediate expensing permanent. But they should keep the rates. The rates. Just give me. We're out of time. Real quick. Most important thing to restore prosperity, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Most important thing between now and the election. Just one thing.
We have got to get government spending and government taxes down.
Okay, Steve Forbes.
Start with faith in the American people. Liberate them, and they'll deliver on all fronts.
That's a freedom message. Freedom. I love that.
Yep.
Pretty good. Steve Moore, Steve Forbes, Art Laffer. You're wonderful. You're wonderful to come up to do this. You're wonderful to come to New Jersey.
We're honored.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah, no, we're all going to have dinner tonight anyway. So we're gonna go through the same thing.